Victory is ensured, for I am the VCardian. Hi everyone, I'm the VCardian, and today I'm going to talk about some tips for playing VCard. Just to let you know, this is going to be a lot of my own opinions and experiences, so take whatever I say in general with a grain of salt. Firstly, I'm going to talk about deck building. I will say you should make whatever deck you want, and don't let anybody stop you. I'm actually not really the competitive type and usually build decks for fun, random reasons, and try to improve it somehow. So with that in mind, I'm just going to give you some general tips. The first thing you should do is find what your deck's focus is. In the case for VCard, I would say the three biggest focuses are your favorite VTuber, keyword or mechanic, and a strong or interesting card. Finding a focus for your deck and building around it is important because it will improve how your deck runs and your overall gameplay experience. Next, I'm going to talk about the different types of VTubers. Of course, as we know, the main card in VCard are the VTubers. I usually divide VTubers into attackers and helpers. This is just a general way I describe VTubers by their card effects frequently. Here are some simple examples. I call Cottontail an attacker because her effect can give herself power repeatedly, and Juniper is an example of a helper because her effect is essentially all utility. I won't lie, helper VTubers is a very generic umbrella category and can describe probably 90% of the VTubers in the game. I will say, usually the best helper style VTubers have the effects that give other VTubers power, or effects that search or draw cards. Also, even though there are two types of VTubers, you don't necessarily need both for a deck. Since there is a huge variety of helper VTubers, you can easily make an effective deck with just helper style VTubers. You could probably make a deck with just attackers as well, but usually their power-up effects are very specific and probably won't mix well. A prime example of a deck made of only helper style VTubers is actually Jamo's deck. If you don't know, Jamo won the first official VCard tournament, and I made a video talking about it. If you're interested, I'll leave a link in the description. These are all the VTubers in his deck, and all of them are helper style because their effects are all utility or power up other VTubers. A big thing to consider is what do you want your board to look like? In Jamo's case, he wants to keep 3 Dokis on his backstage as long as possible. Just don't forget, you need a sufficient amount of power generation because at the end of the day, you win combat by having more power than your opponent. Next are some common deck building habits. First is running playsets of every card. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a playset running fiend. I even try to run exactly 4 mascots in my decks, so technically I can have playsets of every card. This is partly because I have OCD, but you should save playsets for cards that have higher priority or value in your deck, and for the rest, it's more of a preference. Next is about the different power levels of VTubers. You don't have to run each power level of all your VTubers. You should only run all power levels for a VTuber you want to stay on your board, as either your attacker or helper. This is because the true power of power level 9s and 10s is actually the draw you get from them. So in order to get that draw, you need the time to get the cards and the space to play them. Also, I believe if you are running a full power level line of a VTuber, you should run at least 2 of each. Again, I will be using Jamo as an example. Primarily, this is a feed deck, so it makes sense the only VTubers he runs power level 9s and 10s of are the ones that feed. There's also a wide variety of how many VTubers he runs. For Doki, he has 3 of each power level. For Milky, it's 2 of each power level. Nanolis is 3 of only the power level 8s. And for Diariku and Camila, it's 2 of the 8s. This could all vary depending on your deck, but just keep your deck's focus in mind when deciding. The last thing I'm going to talk about is combat. These are just some simple things to keep in mind, but together they can improve your chances of winning. and that is to keep track of turn order, don't underestimate the power of swapping, and lastly, sometimes sacrifices must be made. Like I said, these are some simple things, but together they can be pretty effective. Here's a little visual so I can explain these a little easier. Firstly, there's a very good reason why the winner of a combat goes first the next round. There's actually a pretty big advantage to the player who goes second. The advantage here is that player 1, who went second, has the final turn before combat. This makes it so player 1 essentially has the final say and makes it so player 2 has very little chance to respond. So for instance, if you're player 1, you get to see your opponent's active VTuber's final power level. So let's say you're player 1 and both active VTubers are powered up, but no matter what you do, you can't win this round. This is where the other two combat tips I mentioned come in. Just to refresh, the 2 points were, don't underestimate swapping, and sacrifices must be made. Sacrifices must be made comes up here because instead of losing your current super powered up VTuber, you can offer up a sacrifice. This is where you can swap to another VTuber you don't mind losing as much and save that already powered up VTuber for another combat. This is a simple concept, and of course still applies very much if you go first. Also, in terms of swapping, many decks that I have seen don't run swap effects, so keep that in mind while building your deck. And that's it. Thanks for watching. I'll leave my socials in the description. Please like and subscribe. Let me know if any of this helped, and any suggestions in the comments below. And remember, you're all my heroes, and that the V stands for victory.